Welcome into Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, and I am once again asking you to subscribe to our channel. In exchange, you will get free videos, or not every single day, but hopefully close to it here. We'll have updates for you. You'll be the first to know news. We'll have some watch parties potentially for you guys during the season. And you help me feed my family. I have a 19-month-old. Help her out. Help her be able to eat. So help us and help me feed my family by subscribing right now. We're going to begin with, once again, more on a potential Joe Mixon pay cut. The Athletic took a look at the possibility of Mixon getting cut or taking a pay cut. Not the first time they've done this, but another update from Paul Downey we'll get to here in a little bit. Mixon's due in cash, so new money, $10.10 this year, $10.38 million next year. Now, the Bengals have stuck by Joe Mixon amid some of the legal issues, the off-field stuff he ran into, amid whispers of a cut or a pay cut. They have not done so, potentially, yet. Here's what Paul Downey of The Athletic wrote. Whether on cut down day on August 29th or before training camp begins on July 26th, all sides prefer a resolution sooner rather than later, but there are variables galore on the timing. Now, I think what makes the most sense for Mixon is to know before training camp. Because you want to know, is this where I'm at, or I have to go find a new team at the end of July? Now, Mixon is due $12.76 million cap hit-wise this year. The Bengals could save $10.01 million with an outright cut, and you're probably trying to approach a pay cut as maybe half of that. And I think you can make the argument that Mixon's play has not lived up to a $12.76 million cap hit, $10+ million of cash due this year. He's been a roughly 4-yard per carry player. As we've said before, you can definitely blame the offensive line for that. Although, if it's the offensive line's fault that the running back isn't as productive, why are you paying the running back that much if his production is so reliant upon others at a higher level than maybe other positions tend to be? But Mixon's not a bad football player, don't get me wrong there. And he is by far the best running back currently on this Bengals roster. No disrespect meant towards Williams and Brown and Evans, etc., but Mixon is clearly the best fit and the best remaining player on this Bengals roster. So the leverage play from Cincinnati of, all right, you're not going to cut me, so why would I take a pay cut, is, well, we could sign somebody else. We could go after a Dalvin Cook, as has been speculated, but not much real linkage, linking the Bengals to Cook. Ezekiel Elliott, who wanted to be a Bengal allegedly, and then team didn't show much interest there. Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, two veteran backs who are still out there. So there is the threat of leverage, the threat of a move, but I would be pretty shocked if the Bengals outright cut Joe Mixon. And maybe they do the, hey, Joe, we backed you amid all the off-the-field stuff you were dealing with this year. How about save us a few $million and you cut that $10 million to 7 or 6? Maybe that's the path they end up going. So prediction time. What will end up happening with Joe Mixon? K for keep him, P for there'll be a pay cut, or C or he'll be outright cut. Those are the three options. Trade's not going to happen. Those are the three options. It is today's pinned comment. So if the ad plays here on YouTube, that's fine. Ignore the ad. Nobody cares. Go vote the pinned comment instead. We will also once again revisit Joe Burrow as more updates from The Athletic, part of their Denner's mailbag. That's really good information in it this week. The Athletic thinks Herbert will end up getting his massive extension done first. The Bengals and Burrow are not saying much publicly or privately, so I think any of the real info beyond like they might wait or they want to get a deal done, I think is mostly speculation, sometimes from other teams because they speculate as well. There's no doubt in my mind this deal gets done, maybe even this month, at some point from that perspective. So, as for Burrow, here's what Denner wrote. Conversations surrounding the Burrow extension timing have often mentioned outside forces at play. So many vested interests are intertwined in this negotiation. That includes agents, the union, other quarterbacks, team, and player. I do think waiting for Herbert is part of the holdup. The idea of Burrow making less than Herbert is silly, given what each has accomplished. He should wait. That's likely a final piece of the puzzle that clears the deck for all sides to feel comfortable about the market upon signing. Here are the career stats for Burrow against Justin Herbert, by the way. 7 fewer games, by the way, for Mr. Burrow. With a better record overall and actual playoff success. I mean, I didn't see Joe Burrow out there blowing one of the largest halftime leads in NFL playoff history. Better numbers across the board, yards per attempt. The touchdown ratio is better. The interception ratio is all better. Burrow's been a better quarterback. And you saw Denner, or maybe you listened to, I should say, Denner make note of the union, other quarterbacks. This is something other players have mentioned is you can't always take significantly less, because what ends up happening is, yeah, it makes it easier for your team to pay your teammates, but other players at your position are negatively impacted. And the agents, the union, other players, they're aware of that. So there is some semblance of the players all want to make sure other players across the league get paid, which is understandable. That's why I fully expect Burrow, once that deal is done, to be the highest paid QB in the NFL. Now, maybe it's only $52.7 million, and Herbert checks in at $52.5 or whatever. But it will be a $50+ million per year deal. Otherwise, Burrow's taken a significant discount. I think he's top 3 NFL QB, and he ain't 3. So would you make Burrow the highest paid QB in the NFL? I assume we'll see a lot of yeses, like it is a no-brainer that that's what I would do, but I still want to hear from you guys. Y for yes, N for no. Would you choose to make Joe Burrow the highest paid QB in the NFL? Burrow's been rocking the headband look, and you can if you want as well. Bengals hats, including the headbands, are on sale. Chatsports.com/Bengals hats. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. There's the just general NFL hats. You got the flat brim, the rounded brim, black, gray, white, orange, tons of color schemes there. And the t-shirt and hat combo pack is still available. Chatsports.com/Bengals hats. Again, that link will be in both the comment section and the description of today's show. Go get yours today. That way it's perfect for the summer, since it will be plenty bright and sunny in Cincinnati, so make sure you guys have yourself a hat. Chatsports.com/Bengals hats. I thought FanSided had a fun little article, 3 offensive UDFAs to watch. We'll break them down for you. There's Mac Hippenhammer, elite name, wideout from my alma mater, Miami of Ohio. Calvin Tyler Jr. out of Utah State. And then the obvious name to a certain extent, Jackson Kirkland, the offensive lineman out of Washington. More on each of those 3 players to come, but first, what UDFA are you most excited about this year? Pick that player for me. You can go offense or defense. It's fine either way. Drop the player name for me in the comments section right now. Let's begin with Hippenhammer, who has a really tough path to making the roster at receiver. It's already pretty strong as it is. Began his career at Penn State. Had a good freshman year, had a nice long touchdown catch, and then didn't play much the next year. Transfers to Miami for 2020 as a backup, and then emerges as a starter. He and the rotation at quarterbacks, there were some injuries for that team, made a nice impact, became their true number 1 wide receiver. Why he went undrafted? Didn't test that well. Not the best athletic testing, and he's a little bit skinnier. Tough path. Could be a practice squad guy. Calvin Tyler Jr., meanwhile, began his career at Oregon State. Did not play very much, only a handful of carries. Eventually gets a shot at Utah State and emerged eventually as a 1,000-yard player. Has the exact same why undrafted story as Hippenhammer. Transfer, different position, but did not test that well athletically. And when you've got limited proven production, 4.4 carries is the best, but it was a 1,000-yard guy, and you're an okay athlete, or in this case, below average athlete, those guys tend to not get drafted. Now, Jackson Kirkland, at one point in his career, had some first-round buzz from some. Now, that was always a bit overblown, especially in hindsight. But this is one of the more notable UDFAs in the NFL this year. He actually turned pro after his 2021 season. And then turns out he needed right ankle surgery, would have cost him all the pre-draft process. So he hires an agent. He had hired an agent and was still allowed to go back to college. Makes the move from offensive tackle to right guard. That's where he was going to end up playing. Didn't test the best. Was a second-team All-American because college football writers legitimately do not know ball and just vote based on the names. And Kirkland was a name, but didn't really play quite like that one there. I think guard is his best chance. Big guy, that's a good name to monitor this year among the UDFAs for the Cincinnati Bengals.